You're tuned in to the Sci-Fi Horror and Fantasy Show podcast. And now, here's your host, Ron Donahue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sci-Fi Horror and Fantasy Show podcast. I'm your host, Ron Donahue, and tonight I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Mario Lazo.
How y'all doing out there tonight?
And Mr. Jeff McIntosh.
Good evening, everyone.
So, how you guys doing this week? I'm very tired. I think it's the change of time or what have you, and there was a lot of rushing around, and a lot of things I did that kept me busy in October, and I guess I'm just like trying to catch up now. So, how are you guys doing?
I'm good after that Halloween house that we had at work and trying to get things squared away and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. You know, you got your added things, and plus that you're trying to recover from, because that took about 2 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, and the change of time.
What about you, Jeff?
Well, I'm kind of disappointed after Tuesday. I'm not going to open up a big political can of worms, but you know, I'm not happy-go-lucky. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that could probably be. I know a lot of people that could be, kind of partly what's, bringing people down to a certain degree. But hey, you got to keep it moving.
There are always more movies.
That's right. Always. So to start off this week, there's an article from People Magazine that in the D23, the Disney's show they have for different movies and shows they're going to be releasing, D23 in Brazil, they showed a new image of Stitch. I know we talked about this a few weeks back, that they were making a live action Lilo and Stitch movie. It's coming, 22 years after the first animated movie that came out. But when I first saw the first image that they did, it was like a little, I guess, just a snippet to see what he looked like, and I was like, I didn't like the way it looked. But the new image that I saw, I'm like, yeah, that looks. If you took a cartoon character and made it real life, I'd be like, yeah, that's pretty much how I would imagine he looked. It actually looked pretty good. Have you guys had a chance to see it?
I saw the picture. I think it looks better than the initial photo that they did. The I'm going to call it the teaser photo.
Exactly.
Yeah, the same here. That photo, I think did it more justice. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that, because actually, as I explained before, Lilo and Stitch is actually like my favorite Disney movie. Stitch is actually one of my favorite characters. I got like a ton of Stitch T-shirts, and I have the Funko Pop Stitch, and I'm really looking forward to this movie. I'm hoping it's going to be just as good. I'm not expecting it. I'm hoping it's not going to be like a shot for shot to the animated movie, change it up a little bit. But I'm still excited. I really hope that this is going to be a really good film. It's coming out next summer, so I'm hoping it's going to be pretty good. So next, let's move on. Screenrant is reporting that it's possible that they're going to be making a new Batman villain series for the Joker. So they already have on HBO The Penguin. Now, have either of you watched any of those episodes?
No, I haven't had the chance, to be honest with you. I don't know if Jeff has, but I haven't had the chance.
You, Jeff?
I've watched the first one, and he's kind of a prequel to the Penguin that we all know and love. There's no umbrella, there's no fascination with birds, so that kind of takes a little away from the character, at least in my opinion.
Well, I have to tell you, I haven't watched the entire series yet, And I was actually talking to some folks about the show the other day, and I had to tell you, if no one told you, or if you didn't know anything about Batman and just said this was just a criminal guy they nicknamed the Penguin, that show is a straight gangster show. Take the superhero Batman out of the entire equation. That is a straight gangster show, like mafia mob type show, 100%. And I think with what you're saying, Jeff, I don't think that that's what they're going for. I understand what you're saying, the old Burgess Meredith, and this is nothing like that. You know, kind of like the same difference we have between Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger, like night and day. I think that's what they're going for, because this is the same Penguin, Colin Farrell, that was in the last Batman movie that came out. You see, so no, it's not. I don't think we're going to see any of those characters playing the roles that we've seen in past movies or the comic book images that we see. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. The Joker that they're talking about is an actor, Barry Keoghan's, I guess his name is. I know they had just like a brief shot of him at the end of the last Batman movie when the Riddler had been caught, and I think they were talking about, let's be friends or something like that. From what the article was saying, Matt Reeves wants to use him, the Joker, in TV shows and in the movies. Now, the one thing I do say I do like about the TV shows so far with the Penguin, they're all in line, or they're all on the same timeline as the movies. So the Penguin show actually takes place after Gotham City got flooded in the end of the Batman movie, because he made a comment about the Riddler in the very beginning of the show. Like, I think the first episode, I think called like a maniac or something, what he did to Gotham or what have you. So this whole thing with the Joker is same thing. From my understanding, this is supposed to be taking place when the show does, it does come out. It's going to be someplace taking place in between the first movie and the second movie. And then I guess if they don't use him, maybe he might have a cameo. If they don't have him, I don't think, from my understanding, they're going to use him as the main character in the second film. But maybe in the final film of the trilogy, the Joker might be the main guy.
Now, I did like the Danny DeVito version because he wasn't the clean, pristine as the TV series. He was a bit on the darker side, when he ate the sardines or whatever that was, and he was kind of grungy looking.
Yeah, he was nasty.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he did a decent job. And yeah, what I've seen of the bits and pieces of the commercials for it, I kept looking at it and I go, so he doesn't appear to be a Penguin type personality. He looks more like a gangster, and
right.
The attire and the scenes and everything. And I'm going, well, wait a second, are they gonna? And where's the cold scenes? And where the other Penguins? Or and I kind of got left. Well, and then I said, well, I'll wait a little bit and find out some more info to see if I'm going to be watching a Untouchables kind of Penguin, or a villain from the Batman series. So I guess you're telling me my answer now, that it's more of a gangster Untouchables.
That's exactly it. But anyway, we'll see. I mean, I think it's a great idea. I mean, this Penguin series was great. The last episode is tomorrow for I guess it's just a one shot series. They didn't say anything about a second season, so I'm assuming they'll do the same thing with the Joker, and I'm sure the Joker is going to be, I would believe, more psychological. I mean, he's a criminal, but I think it's going to be like even more twisted than the Penguin show. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to overcome the hurdle of Joker too. How many people are going to say, And the Joker, did you see the movie where he was with Harley Quinn and they were singing? Yeah, that's going to be like a hard no for me.
I don't know, Jeff. I don't know, because only reason I would say that is, I mean, it was already clearly stated beforehand that all of these different characters are not in the same universe. You know, it's you have the Joker from the Lady Gaga, Joaquin Phoenix. Then you have this one, and and main thing is, remember the Joaquin Phoenix Joker takes place in the early 1980s. What we're seeing now, the Joker, Penguin, all these, we're talking about in modern times, like right now. I don't think there's going to be a mix-up. You can bet 120% there's not going to be a Joker singing and dancing for this Matt Reeves show. That's just not going to happen. It's not even that type of thing. Because you notice, even when Heath Ledger, remember, that's a whole different universe. Christian Bale's Batman. They never had him singing and dancing and everything like that. Yeah, and that now I'm gonna tell you, so up to this point, as far as I'm concerned, I think he was the best Joker that ever came out. His portrayal to me was more like if you're going to go from the comic book straight to film, I think he played the best one.
Yeah, they had that other guy, the comedian. What was his name?
Jack Nicholson?
No, the Joker.
Cesar Romero?
No. More current. He does like the movie Liar. What's that?
Oh, no, he didn't play the Joker. No, he played the Riddler. You're talking about Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
That was a Riddler.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
that was like those horrible. That was when, I think, wasn't he in the one where, what's the guy name? I mean, they had a bunch so they had Michael Keaton, they had Val Kilmer, they had, George Clooney. Wasn't he in the one with George Clooney?
I try to remember.
Yeah, those ones were like just terrible.
Garbage.
Terrible movies.
That almost killed the series.
Yeah, it certainly did.
Yeah,
it certainly
they
did.
had Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
The roller skating guys.
I can't remember the actress who was Poison Ivy, but
that was Uma Thurman.
Yes.
Yeah. Terrible movies. What they did to it. You know what? And even George Clooney admitted afterwards, he was even saying he should have never made that movie.
Yep.
So next we have a rumor that is started that there is going to be a Christopher Nolan reboot of the old movie Blue Thunder that starred the late Roy Schneider. It's not. Again, this is just a rumor, and but it is starting to pick up some steam as it's being spread around that this movie is gonna actually happen. So let's just say it does. Let's just say they do a remake. What would you got? Do you think it would? Would you guys be interested, or do you think it's a good idea that after all these years they're gonna do a remake for this story?
I did go to see Blue Thunder when it first came out back in the 80s. It wasn't a bad movie, and then they took it to TV where it just absolutely fell flat. But if you're going to talk about attack helicopters, Airwolf was my show. The first couple of seasons on CBS, I loved Airwolf until they, brought in
Michael Vincent. What is it? Jan Michael Vincent and
Ernest Borgnine.
Ernest Borgnine, and they brought in this other redheaded actress, and then it became more family friendly and less spy or secret agency storylines, and they were rescuing abandoned children, and it was like, Nolan's a good director. I would give it some serious thought about going to see it. Absolutely.
Now, the rumor is it's supposed to be starring Tom Holland and Matt Damon. So that goes along with the rumor as well. I think I don't. Okay, I don't. I'm thinking, yeah, you could do it. Now I've been wrong before. I'm wondering how many people would actually be interested in seeing this film because, as we said before, when did the original one come out? Like in mid '80s or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking like how many years? Like what, 40 years ago? The helicopter back then, with all the gadgets and gizmos, everybody's like, wow, like this is this super modern
Yeah.
helicopter. So, right, how much more stuff is a new helicopter going to have? AI in it? I mean, what are they going to do if it's really focused in on that? I think it's okay. I think it's a decent ideal if they want to do it. I mean, they're bringing back all these other different shows from the 80s and making them movies and what have you, 80s and 90s. So I guess it could work. I mean, we haven't seen a helicopter. And the thing is, for me, which is so funny about helicopters, and I guess, of course, it would have all the bells and whistles and everything to keep the pilot safe. But I'm like, man, in video games, helicopters are the easiest things to destroy. I mean, really, once you take out that propeller on top, man, that's it. Game over. So I guess it would have all kinds of, I don't know, gadgets and gizmos or whatever to keep it safe from weapons or whatnot. But I guess it would be. You know what? We'll see. We haven't seen a movie like that in a long time. A lot of people have that nostalgia for older films, remakes, and what have you. So maybe it might be good. Maybe it might turn out good.
You got two actors, Matt Damon and all his action series, and then the other young man, Tom Holland. So they appeal to do two different segments, but they kind of like the action adventure. So I'm imagining, now that you mention him, Matt Damon to be Roy Schneider, and then Tom Holland to be, I can't remember the young pilot in the original movie. So I guess they'll appeal to two different segments, and that'll bring in some folks to see it. Now, it all depends on how good that movie's going to be, because I guess after the first week, and the Rotten Tomatoes come out and word of mouth, it'll make or break the movie. Because as you said, helicopters, yeah, okay. But, there's really, how much more can you advance? That it has a laser maybe? But other than that, I guess the important avenue of the helicopter is its ability. And I think they used that when they went and hunted bin Laden,
Right.
that they had to destroy that one helicopter there. But other than that, how much more advanced can a helicopter be?
Right.
Transport troops from point A to point B, and that's about it.
Right. And think of what is like the most modern we have for war and stuff. Isn't it the Black Hawk?
I think so.
Yeah. So you're gonna make this thing even more powerful than the Black Hawk? I mean, I'm with Mario on this one. Like, what are you gonna put on this thing? Like photon torpedoes? What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's just because how much
they might be able to go like they did on Star Trek with the Klingon birds of prey.
Cloaking,
the
cloaking device, just cloaked so you can't see them. They're flying overhead. Hey, we can hear a chopper, but where is the damn thing?
Or like you hear about people when they're talking about, whenever there's cattle mutilations, you always hear them talk about the black helicopters that you can't hear. Wait, didn't they have that on Airwolf where they could hit the switch and you could barely hear the helicopter?
Yeah, the whisper.
The whisper mode.
Yeah. I still remember. And then all of a sudden, hey, where's the noise?
Exactly. That's
good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm secretly broadcasting over Ron's house in my helicopter. I just don't talk about it publicly too much.
Once you're within 75 feet with an RPG, how fast can it move? I mean, really?
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know about that.
We'll see. I mean, if it is in fact, if it does come to pass, well, I guess we'll see. I think another thing that's going to be important is definitely when they put it out, which time of year. That would, I think, definitely you'd have to put that, if you're going to make some money, you got to put that out in the summertime too. I don't think you're going to have, because they typically every year they have some type of holiday more family oriented movies around Christmas time. Thanksgiving, I would say Thanksgiving forward. I don't think that would do well coming out later in the year. I think more like in the summertime where, people got a ton of different movies. You have a ton of different options of different movies coming out. I think they'd have to put it out in the summertime under the moniker that this is an adventure film, action adventure or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll make it. Maybe, maybe they. I think. Tom Holland. I think he's a decent actor. Matt Damon's a decent actor. So
you're going to attract the crowd. You're going to attract the crowd that expects, like I said, Matt Damon and his Bourne, and then Tom Holland and his abilities. He made that one movie with who was it? An adventure movie, like trying to find the treasure. Mm-hmm. So he can act. And like I said, you'll have an initial impact on the folks. Now, what happens after they see it after the first week or two, it's up to the quality of the movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, before we go into the question of the week, I do want to bring up we've lost an actor I think I've always wanted to meet in person.
Yes.
That I never had the opportunity. Actor Tony Todd passed away this week. And for me, Tony Todd will always be Candyman. I think I can't think of anybody else who could have played that role as well as he did. And he actually, he's done a lot of work. He was in quite a few different movies and did voiceover work for video games. And even the last thing I saw him in, it always to me shows you the skill of an actor, where the movie that you're watching could be like horrible, but the actor, the way they play their role still stands out. It was a brief role that he had in this horrible movie that came out of, I was so disappointed, called Hellfest. It was about this, kind of like how we have, they have Halloween Horror Nights. It was kind of like the same thing, where there was this amusement park, what have you, that for I guess around the Halloween season, it was horror themed. And Hellfest is what they called it. And he was just like the ringmaster to kick off the opening ceremonies and everything. And his banter with one of the characters that ended up getting killed on stage was really good. I mean, it was kind of like, it seemed like it was almost just kind of like they were ad-libbing between the two of them, but either or, he had his voice, how he come across, this is Hellfest. The guy came across really good. So that's another person I regret that I've never had a chance to meet him. And I know there were opportunities, because I think he's actually been to some of those different horror conventions before, but I've never been to any. But sad to say, unfortunately now, like many other people I wish I could have met, I'll never be able to meet the guy.
He was at a convention that I went to probably a good 10, 12 years ago. It's no longer in existence, but it was Scaricon down outside of Syracuse, and he was one of the guests. And I did get to say hello to him. And he was a big fella. I mean, I'm 6'4".
Yeah,
and he had an inch on me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they said that he's like 6'5". Yeah, really tall. Nice funny thing is, I never knew that.
Nice guy though.
Yeah, I've never heard anything different from people who have met him, and when I've seen people talk about him before, I've never heard anything other than he was just like a perfect gentleman. So
I heard him talking because these cons. There's always a party, and apparently he'd been imbibing too much the night before, and then the next day was kind of feeling the effects of being kind of hungover. But he was still there and present for his fans. So hey,
Yeah, I've always heard he was like a really great guy. So we've lost another great actor, and in my opinion, a great horror movie actor, Mr. Tony Todd. So we'll move finally to our last part of our show, which is our question of the week. So this week's question is: name your top 3 fantasy films.
Easy for me. The Hobbit, the series.
Okay.
I like them better than Lord of the Rings, because the Lord of the Rings not too lengthy and too many issues involving the movies, even though they're pretty straightforward. But I like The Hobbit because the first episode, where he doesn't like all of those individuals coming into his little home, and then the storyline was interesting to me. I liked them. And I try to think back, even way back to The Willow, and I don't know if you all remember The Willow with
Warwick Davis. Warwick Davis.
Wasn't it Val Kilmer? Wasn't he in one?
Let me see. You said that was, which one movie was that?
Wasn't it Willow? I know there was one with Tom Cruise, but that one I didn't even care to watch it. But I think it was with Val Kilmer, and I think it was called Willow.
Let me see. Here it is. That came out in 1988. Yep, it did have Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
He was called Mad Again.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I guess the epics of the Lord of the Rings, and then you have all the other ones that came after that. But I did appreciate more the ones that I just mentioned.
Okay, so you have The Hobbit. Then you said
feeding after that. It's a continuation.
Okay.
So there's 3 Hobbit movies.
Also, all 3. That's your favorite for the Hobbit series.
I like the characters. I like the story. It seemed a lot easier for me to follow through. Instead of the more expansive the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings were much better movies, but I like the simplicity of The Hobbit, and the 2 subsequent movies after that. And I can't think of anything that, that was impressionable to me that I would remember, because there have been several other fantasy movies, but they just didn't seem to stick with me, Okay. I could watch The Hobbit again, once a month, because, I see different things every time I see it, but it's the characters that I enjoy the most. So,
okay, I got you. So what about you, Jeff? What's your top 3?
All right, I'm going to go with mine and give them in ascending order by date of release.
All right.
My first one is going to be 1940s Korda's Thief of Baghdad.
Okay.
Great fantasy film. Arabian Nights theme. Great movie. The genie, one of the great black actors of the 30s and 40s, Rex Ingram played the genie. Great movie, highly recommend it.
Is it in color or is it just black and white?
No, it's color.
Okay.
Second movie is going to be 1981's Excalibur.
Mm.
You know, based on Mallory's. And forgive me, I do not speak French. La Mort d'Arthur, which I'm assuming translates out to the death of Arthur. Great casting. I love the character of Merlin. Helen Mirren plays the evil sorceress. Great action movie. Sword fights, people getting chopped up. Yeah, Sword in the Stone. You gotta love that. All that good stuff.
Okay.
Last movie for me, 1987's Princess Bride.
I've never seen that movie.
Are you kidding?
No, I've never seen it.
Andre the Giant, I think is pretty cool. I like the character of the pirate Wesley. I think they have the evil Duke who wants to marry the fair. I think she was like a farm girl. I wanted to say princess, but I think that she was a farm girl. And I like Billy Crystal's character of the wizard, and he's telling the heroes, you know, have fun storming the castle.
Wasn't there a character Rodrigo or something like that?
Yeah, that was, and I'm blanking on who it was, but I think that he was the good swordsman, and he was out to avenge the murder of his father.
He looked like this, like Zorro, didn't he?
Yes. And he had this long speech, you know. You murdered my father. I am, you know, his son. I am going to avenge his death and kill you.
Who was the nerdy guy that was trying to poison?
Wallace Shawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I still remember that movie like it was 2 weeks ago. Just don't remember. Yeah. That's a good selection there.
All right. So mine, first off, it's a 1983 animated film called Fire and Ice. I love that movie. Now that's a movie I watch it a couple times every year. So you know, so it one back when that was sword and sorcery was really big back then. And it tells a whole story about. There were like these guys, more like looked like Vikings. I think the place was called Ice Keep or something like that. And there was this guy who was this sorcerer who was basically just trying to conquer the whole planet whatever planet that was they were on. Then you had what was Fire Keep. So you had the people with ice and then the people with fire. His name was Necron. And they had to end up battling him to kill him, to keep him from taking over. The artwork was like beautiful. I mean, just in the say, even if you don't like really fantasy films, but just to see how beautiful the film turned out. And there was this one scene, it's like one of the best scenes in the entire movie. There's a character called Dark Wolf. I don't know. And the funny thing is, I don't know whether or not he's like from the bridge of his nose on up, it looks like he has like a mask, like a wolf mask on, not like the teeth of a wolf or nothing like that, but just it's like all black, and his eyes are like they glow, right, like yellow. I don't know if that's supposed to be like a mask for that character, or if that's just like this is fantasy. He's somehow half wolf or something. But this big muscle bound dude, and guy fights like there's no tomorrow. I mean, he'll go in a crowd of like 20 dudes with his axe and just like chop them like he's chopping, you know, spaghetti or something. The guy is awesome. So I love that movie. The next one on the list is Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, 1986, Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the martial arts aspect of it. the Three Storms. Oh man, that movie. It is funny. Kurt Russell is like really, really funny.
Yeah.
The character Jack Burton. Who? Jack Burton. that movie is so funny. That's a really good one. Dealing once again, like I say, with Chinese mysticism, sorcery, and what have you. That was a really good one. And then the last one, 1994, The Crow with Brandon Lee.
Oh, okay.
That movie, even then, that movie, I mean, of course, everybody knew what happened, how he died making that film. But just the story itself really, I don't know, kind of touched something inside of me. It was powerful. The whole message came out. And the story of that comes from a comic book. The guy's name is James O'Barr. From my understanding, from Michigan. He's from Michigan too. Yeah, Michigan, my state. And it came out of the situation where, as in, he fell in love with somebody in real life, and she was killed by a drunk driver. So I saw this. It was just recently. It was a documentary was talking about him, and after that happened, she was like his world. The guy was totally in love with her. She gets killed by this drunk driver. He went into the military and had decided when he came out, he was literally going to try to find the person who killed his girlfriend to kill him. He was going to get revenge for this person ruining his life, but either or, he didn't do it. Thank goodness. I guess he got more into the artwork and what have you, doing his art and coming out with the story of the Crow. And since then, they still do Crow comics. Now, I don't know if he's the sole artist that's still doing it or not. I don't even know. But they've come out with a couple other movies. The movies that came out were not great after the original one. They had the TV series, which I thought was just stupid. So you have Eric Draven. He was he's like a bartender in the daytime. So then at nighttime, he puts on the makeup and going around and avenging. I mean, that's just like so stupid.
That's almost like Batman.
Right, exactly. So I'm the Crow at nighttime. I'm a bartender in the daytime. Then I put on the crazy looking makeup, and now I'm like an Avenger. That was so dumb. But yeah. So that's my three. That's my three. Fire and Ice. Animated. If you guys haven't seen that movie, I'm telling you, you don't have to be a big animation fan, but you got to check it out. That movie is like so awesome. The animation is like so good. Everybody knows Big Trouble in Little China. That's just hilarious. That's a really funny movie, really good. And then The Crow. To this day, I can still watch The Crow. Even I've seen the documentaries that were talking about it, how after Brandon died, even then, we're talking about, like, say, 94, they were able to get an actor. I guess they made a mask that looked like Brandon's face, and certain scenes from the movie, they were able to take Brandon and change the background of the movie. It's kind of like what they can do now with technology, where they can put a completely different background behind. I've never been to France before, but they can take a picture of me and look like I'm like France is, the Eiffel Tower is behind me. They were actually doing that stuff back then. They had to, because they had to continue filming, once he had died. But yeah, that's a great movie. That's a really great movie. Well, that's all the time we have for this week, folks. Thank you once again for joining us. Jeff, thank you. Mario, thank you. And you all have a great week, and we will see you all next time. Good night.
Keep those cards and letters coming, folks.
Good night.